So it's been more than 3 months now since the whole pandemic forced businesses to shut down in my area. And it's been quite an interesting 3 months, to say the least. Like for many of you, my regular photography gigs pretty much stopped for several months. Prior to the pandemic, I did a lot of event photography and, well, you know, events kind of stopped, and no events means no event photography. Of course, there's always stock photography and photography that I did just for fun during this time period, but the longer the pandemic kept things closed, the less I felt like a professional photographer. I guess you could say I started feeling some imposter syndrome, which is probably partially why I uploaded fewer videos in recent weeks. Am I still a photographer if I have no clients? Who am I to talk about photography when I have no gigs? These are just some of the things that would go through my head. Anyway, in some places, things are slowly starting to open up again with new safety procedures in place, and I've been getting a few gigs again. One of the companies that I freelance for has started sending photographers out on photo shoots again, but they have a lot of new safety measures in place. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I do a lot of photography for small businesses. And if this is something that interests you, then I definitely recommend checking out this video that I made in the past. Anyway, things are looking very different than they did before. There are new safety guidelines that are put in place when I go out and do photo shoots. And I just thought I would share what a typical photo shoot looks like for me these days because, well, 2020 is a different world than it was in 2019. All right, so the safety guidelines. Prior to each shoot, photographers are required to disinfect all of their equipment. Photographers are required to wear a mask or a cloth face cover during photo shoots. Photographers must keep a distance of 6 feet or more from the people they are photographing, which means zoom lenses are a must. Photographers must not touch their face, nose, or mouth during the shoot. Photographers must not shake hands or come into direct contact with business owners or employees. And of course, basic sanitary measures like frequently washing hands are of course expected. Customers are also given similar guidelines. Over the past few weeks, I have photographed a golf park, a collision repair center, an artist, a wellness practitioner, and a mattress store. The golf park was of course super safe and easy to photograph because I was outside the whole time and I was using my 200mm zoom lens to capture photos of people on the range as well as capturing some aerial photos of the whole area. I can't think of a safer business to photograph than a golf course because you literally have so much space. The mattress store and the car repair shop also felt pretty safe since they were big open spaces and they actually had a lot of ventilation. And like one person in them, maximum 2. The one that was probably the least safe was the photo shoot I did of the artist, since she works out of a room in her own house and there was no ventilation in that room. But I did my best to keep as much distance as I could within that small space. And when photographing the artwork, instead of, positioning the artwork myself like I would have done in a past photo shoot, I asked her to touch the artwork so that I wouldn't have to, touch something unnecessarily. Now, what kind of photos should you take of business owners in 2020? Should you photograph people with their masks on or without? Well, I've been doing both. I've been taking photos of business owners wearing masks and business owners without their masks, if they want those, because I want them to be able to have photos that they can use during the pandemic to demonstrate the new normal in their business, as well as photos that they can use in the future if this all comes to an end. And when I take any sort of portraits of people when they're not wearing a mask, I'll make sure that I use a good zoom lens so I can get enough of a distance between myself and the other person before taking that portrait. Typically for that, I'll use at least an 85mm. Anyway, now that I'm doing photo shoots again in a limited capacity, my imposter syndrome is going away, and it also just feels good to be going out there and being creative again. A lot of the photos I take right now look very different than photos I have taken in the past because in many cases people are wearing masks. But it just feels like I'm continuing to document today's new normal, today's very different reality. Anyways, let me know in the comments what your life is looking like as a photographer today. This is probably very different depending on where you live and what is considered socially acceptable in your area. In some places, going outside at all is probably not socially acceptable. In other places, it is considered normal. This keeps changing every week depending on where you live and what the situation is like in your area. 3 months ago, I felt really wrong even just stepping foot outside. And now it's socially acceptable to continue a semi-normal life despite higher case numbers. But that could all be different again next month. Who knows? Maybe next month I'll be sitting on my balcony again, photographing insects as my only photography subjects. Anyway, wherever you are in the world, take care of yourself, stay safe, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you are new here, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.